Hi everyone, welcome back to Sterilize My Life, and if you're new, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and check out my channel for more sterile processing videos. So you have a sterile processing job interview coming up and have absolutely no idea what to expect. Well, you've come to the right channel because today I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to prepare for your job interview. I've had the opportunity to sit through many sterile processing job interviews throughout my time in the field, and each one was a different experience for me. However, the one thing that remained the same was the methods that I used to help me get through those interviews. Tip number 1, go in confident but not cocky. You want to show management that you're confident in your work and your ability to do the job requirements, and you want to show them that you're open and willing to learning new things. In this field, you will learn something new every day, and you have to be open and flexible to that. The last thing is you want to show them that you're mature enough to admit your faults. I had a situation where I was assembling a dental set, and this was a special one-of-a-kind set, and there were only 2 in the sterile storage inventory. Now, it wasn't until the next day when I was in decontamination, reprocessing the other set, when I realized I assembled something wrong inside of this tray. Now, in this moment, I had to think there's 2 sets. One of them is here in decontamination being reprocessed, while the other is sitting upstairs in sterile storage, possibly on a case card, incomplete. That would have delayed surgery. That day, it was just a dental set, but it could have been a cardiac set or a neural set, which would have put the patient at higher risk had their surgery been delayed. It's always better for you to catch your mistakes versus the OR anyway. Just keep that in mind. Tip number 2, do your research on the hospital or surgery center that you plan to work at. You want to get familiar with the type of surgery that this hospital performs, and this will give you an idea of the type of instruments or tray sets that you will be assembling. For example, you have trauma hospitals where you'll see a lot of ortho instruments. You have children's hospitals where you'll be introduced to instruments for children. You also have surgery centers where you'll only be reprocessing endoscopes or reprocessing eye instruments. And you also have dental offices where you'll just be reprocessing dental instruments. It's good to know just in case management decides to ask you how to reprocess those instruments. I had a situation in a job interview where I was asked how to reprocess endoscopes. Now, I knew there was a possibility that this question could come up because I seen it under the job requirements when I was applying for the position. So in the days leading up to the interview, I decided to Google steps on how to reprocess an endoscope. I studied it, and when the question was asked during the job interview, I was able to recite step by step how to reprocess an endoscope. Now, I also admitted that I didn't have much hands-on experience with reprocessing endoscopes, and I wanted to receive more training on it. Remember, I said you must be willing to admit your flaws and open to learning new things. I feel like as long as you know the basics, learning the rest of it wouldn't be an issue. This leads me into tip number 3. Go over some instrumentation and some sterilization methods and temperatures. When reprocessing an endoscope, they do not go inside of a sterilizer. Instead, they'll receive high-level disinfectant. I say go over some instrumentation because I had this one job interview where they actually quizzed me with instrument flashcards. This was completely unexpected and threw me for a loop. But now I know for future references to be prepared just in case this happens again. You may run into this if you don't have much experience in the field. Tip number 4, which also goes along with tip number 2. Get familiar with tasks you're unfamiliar with. So for example, if you're unfamiliar with how to reprocess loaners, you may want to look more into that. If you're unfamiliar with how to reprocess Da Vinci arms, you may want to look more into that. If you're unfamiliar with how to build case cards, you may want to look into that. In my case, I was unfamiliar with how to reprocess endoscopes, so I look more into that. You never know what kind of questions will be thrown at you in a job interview, so it's always best to just be prepared. You can look over the job duties on a job application to see if there are any tasks listed that you may be unfamiliar with, and this will be your starting point. Tip number 5, ask questions. I can't stress this tip enough. It's always important to ask as many questions as possible. A job interview is not just about the employer figuring out whether you're a good fit for the job or not. It's also about you figuring out whether that job is a good fit for you. I also take a list of questions into any interview that I do, and my questions are based off of my personal experience and me knowing the type of environment I want to work in. So if you have to, don't be ashamed to take in a list of questions. You may forget something, or you may get sidetracked talking about one thing and totally forget to ask an important question that you may have had. Those are my 5 tips on how you can prepare for your sterile processing job interview. If you guys would like to know the question that I ask in my interviews, feel free to reach out to Sterilize My Life on Instagram, and I'll be more than happy to share those questions with you. Also, I'll be having a study session on Sundays for those of you preparing for your instrument exam. So make sure you check out Sterilize My Life on Instagram for all things sterile processing. In the meantime, between time, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, and check out my channel for more sterile processing videos. Good luck with your job interview, and let me know how it all turns out. Thanks for watching. Bye.